YouTube, Dark Magician of Team Sources here, and welcome back to What If Wednesday, with another suggestion from Dragon Master 25. What if Darklords were my favourite and signature deck? Now, as I've explained in videos on my channel, Darklords are a deck that I just don't like playing against. At least, not before we got the support in, what was it, Rise of the Duelist? Christia, Vanity's Fiend, Darklord's Enchantment and Rebellion just really pissed me off, and it was just not enjoyable to play against at all. So much so that Christia and Vanity's Fiend scarred me for life. For more information on that, check out my two-part top 20 video on cards that scarred me for life. But like I said, I don't know if they still play Christia and Vanities nowadays. But if they don't, then they're probably not so bad now. But then again, this alternate timeline is the old switcheroo. So in this timeline, it becomes my favourite and signature deck, taking the place of Dark Magician. There wouldn't be much to work with at first, because the Darklords first came out in 2011. Like 3 of them were prize cards, although all of them did get printed in Legendary Collection 2. Like 3 of them were promos, but yeah, there were 4 to start off with: Darklord Desire, Darklord Superbia, Darklord Asmodeus, and Darklord Eridae. And interestingly, out of all of them, Superbia is the only one that still sees play. I mean, to be fair, it is the best one. I think I would take a Light King to Darklord Desire, because it's a 3k beta. It can't be special summoned, of course, but it can be tribute summoned with 1 tribute by tributing a fairy, and it has the ability to target a monster, make Desire lose a grand, and that monster gets sent to the graveyard. I think that's how send it to the graveyard. It is an effect that targets though, so it obviously wouldn't do any good against things with targeting immunity, but even so, it's still a 3k beat stick, and it just makes me think of Blue Eyes White Dragon in a way. Like, to start with, that would be the Blue Eyes White Dragon of the deck. But like I said, there wouldn't be much to start with. I mean, it would be a bit difficult playing a Darklord deck with just 4 cards, so I'd probably end up playing them in something else. Can't think what though, but it wouldn't be easy. I mean, I would try something and take a Light King to Desire, but of course, the Darklord archetype deck wouldn't be a thing for another 5 years, when we got all that stuff in Destiny Soldiers. Now, of course, in the original timeline, that set interested me because of the Destiny Hero stuff, which I wanted. But in this timeline, there'd be more reason for me to pick up packs, even a box. I would probably end up getting a whole case of the set, just to properly build the deck. And that's what I'd end up doing. But even though generally Desire isn't something that Darklords would play anymore after that, I myself would still end up playing it anyway. Because obviously the gimmick of it is to do lots of special summoning of all the Darklords, and different ways, and it would be so easy to get tribute fodder. Now, I was thinking about Ichtel, the one that lets me draw two. In fact, Dragon Master suggested the idea, and I also thought about Morningstar, but I felt like the Desire would be easier to bring out and easier to use. So even though I'd probably only play it as a one-off, that would still be my favourite and ace monster of the deck. I mean, I'd still do the other typical Darklord things, but yeah, Desire would be the ace monster. But what I wouldn't do is run Hope Harbinger, Christia and Vanities, because all of these are monsters that I hate with a fucking passion. Because Hope Harbinger is among my top 5 hated Xyz monsters and number monsters, and of course, like I said, I fucking hate cards that shut down special summon, so I would just refuse to use Christia and Vanities at Fiend. Chances are I probably would be questioned on why I'm not playing Hope Harbinger or Christia, and it would just be like the whole thing with Darklord and Dragoon again, where people would be questioning me on why I'm not playing them and then giving me shit over them. And I'd be like, I don't want to use them. Fuck off. But in any case, yeah, that would be how it would go down, and this would be when I'd start using Darklords in tournaments, although not right away, because round about this time I was doing the top 18 favourite deck challenge, back when I had 18 favourite decks ever, and I'd be playing them in Raw Rumbles and tournaments, and that was a challenge that lasted from November 2016 to January 2017. So it wouldn't be until 2017 that I'd start using Darklords in tournaments. As for how well I do, it's hard to say. There is one other issue with Darklords: bricking. There's so many high-level monsters in there, and it can be absolute bricks unless I have ways to get them out my hand, like with trading, for instance. Or I'd probably even run hand destruction just to help with consistency in bad hands. Mind you, it did have the luxury of playing a lot of darkness, so that helped. Because obviously more things are in card destruction and banned at the time, so they wouldn't be an option, and well, until they got unbanned, and I'd end up playing those in the Darklord deck. But chances are I'd probably do about the same as I would with Dark Magician, and there is of course a chance that I still get really annoyed with the meta and end up quitting, especially later on when Trickstars and Pendulum Magicians were just dominating, I don't even know if there'd be a lot of ways that Darklords could deal with then, or at least not that I can think of. So I feel like there'd still be like cases where I'd quit tournaments or take breaks from tournaments and then end up coming back. But then, of course, when links would come into the game, it would still kind of bother me, but not really, because Darklords are one of those decks that don't really focus on the extra deck, or at least not that much. I mean, maybe they do more now, since we got the first Darklord, but yeah, even though it would become more fusion-based, it still wouldn't heavily rely on the extra deck. I'd still have Super Poly in there, though, because after that would come back, it would give me more options, and there'd be all the more reason to play Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and Dracostopelia, Trip, and then later on Mud Dragon and Garuda. But I don't know, chances are I'd still eventually end up quitting tournaments, even when I would get the support from Rise of the Duelist. I'd still end up playing in the minor league and maybe winning one of those with Darklords. I mean, I don't know, it's hard to say, but there could end up still being that debate over negates and OTK decks, especially if Mechaba is involved, which would still lead me to just quitting the normal current format and starting up Patrician format, and I'd still end up banning Darklord Nurse Refecule, formerly Refecule the Fallen One. I don't know why the name was changed to make it a Darklord monster, but even so, it would be the only Darklord monster that I hate with a passion because of Nurse Burn. I mean, Nurse Burn is just toxic as fuck, so that bitch would still end up being banned in my format because I don't want Nurse Burn in my format. So yeah, not a lot would change really. I guess Darklords would still become one of my epic elite decks, as well as my favourite and signature deck. But yeah, it would just keep getting better and better over time. And I'd still have Desire in the deck, even though it's not one that they use nowadays. It's said that Ichtel, Superbia and Darklord Zerato, the alternative favourite and ace monsters of the deck. But I just feel like I'd like Desire more. Plus, Zerato has the drawback where if it uses its effect to discard a dark monster to destroy the opponent's monsters, it yeets itself in the end phase. And it's just not great, really. Don't get me wrong, I'd still play Zerato, but he wouldn't really be a favourite. Yeah, same with Ichtel and Superbia. I feel like I'd just have more of a bond with Desire. But that's just me. I mean, it's down to personal preference. But yeah, that's what would happen if Darklords were my favourite in signature deck. Thanks for watching.